When Trudeau's billion-dollar Volkswagen deal hit the headlines, it was massive. It sparked both cheers and raised eyebrows. Some were excited, others skeptical. But underneath it all, there was a feeling that something wasn't quite right. And that's exactly what we're about to dig into in this video. Chapter 1. The billion-dollar deal. When Trudeau announced the billion-dollar deal with Volkswagen, it took everyone by surprise. This deal promised a huge investment and thousands of new jobs. Volkswagen agreed to build a large electric vehicle factory in Canada, which was said to be a big boost for Canada's economy, making it a key player in the car industry. People had mixed reactions. Supporters were excited, thinking this would bring growth and new opportunities. They saw Trudeau's move as a smart step forward, but some people were doubtful. They wondered if the deal was as good as it seemed and worried about hidden problems. Questions started to pop up. Why did they choose Volkswagen? Why now? What happened in the secret meetings that led to this deal? As everyone talked about the big news, these unanswered questions hinted at a deeper story waiting to be uncovered. Chapter 2. The shadowy background. To understand the full picture, we need to look at Volkswagen's past. The company isn't just famous for making cars. It's also known for some pretty big scandals. Remember the emissions scandal a few years back? Volkswagen was caught cheating on emissions tests to make their cars seem more environmentally friendly than they really were. This left a lot of people wondering if the company could be trusted. Now, here comes the interesting part. Trudeau's connection to Volkswagen. It seemed like an unusual alliance. Why would Trudeau, known for his strong stance on climate change and environmental issues, partner with a company that has a history of dodging environmental regulations? Chapter 3. Shady business. Trudeau's team met with Volkswagen executives behind closed doors, keeping the details of their discussions hidden. They didn't release any press statements, nor did they allow any leaks. Occasionally, small details slipped out. We learned that the government agreed to provide significant tax breaks to Volkswagen. Another piece of information revealed that they promised to fast-track permits and approvals for the new factory. As journalists started to investigate, they uncovered more pieces of the puzzle. They found out that Trudeau's team had been negotiating with Volkswagen for months before the deal was announced. This wasn't just a quick decision, it was a well-planned move. One journalist discovered that Volkswagen had initially approached other countries for their new factory, but settled on Canada because of the generous incentives offered. People started to ask tougher questions. Why did the government keep these negotiations so secret? What else were they hiding? Behind the scenes, powerful figures seemed to be pulling the strings. Political insiders and corporate bigwigs played big roles in making the deal happen. Some of Trudeau's top advisors had close ties to the automotive industry, which made people wonder if they had influenced the negotiations. Reporters discovered that lobbyists for Volkswagen had met with key government officials several times before the deal was finalized. For example, records showed that in January, a senior Volkswagen lobbyist met with Trudeau's chief of staff, and again in March, just a month before the announcement. These meetings were not part of the official record, adding to the sense of secrecy and manipulation. Documents obtained through Freedom of Information requests revealed that the government had promised Volkswagen substantial tax breaks, amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars. They also offered to fast-track regulatory approvals, cutting down the time and cost for Volkswagen to set up their factory. These incentives made Canada an irresistible choice for their new electric vehicle plant. People began to question who really benefited from this deal. Was it the Canadian public, or was it a select group of powerful individuals? Trudeau's advisors, like his economic strategist, had previously held high-ranking positions in the automotive sector. This raised concerns about potential conflicts of interest and whether these connections played a role in the negotiations. It became clear that the Volkswagen deal was not just a straightforward business agreement. It was a carefully orchestrated move by those in power, leaving the public to wonder about their true motives and the real cost of the deal. Chapter 5. The debate. As the controversy hit its peak, Trudeau faced a lot of pressure from all sides. Things came to a head in a heated parliamentary debate where Trudeau defended the Volkswagen deal. He said the deal was super important for Canada's future and would make them a leader in green technology. Opposition leader Erin O'Toole didn't hold back. He questioned why the negotiations were so secret and demanded more transparency. He slammed the government for giving huge tax breaks to a foreign company, while many Canadian businesses were struggling. O'Toole even called for a full public inquiry into the deal. Environmental activists, like David Suzuki, also spoke up. They wanted guarantees that the environmental rules would be strictly followed and that the deal wouldn't harm Canada's natural resources. Suzuki reminded everyone about past promises that weren't kept, urging people to stay alert. Trudeau fired back, highlighting the deal's potential to create thousands of jobs and reduce carbon emissions. He promised that the government had put strong environmental protections in place and that the benefits would far outweigh the costs. The debate got even more intense as both sides made their cases. Supporters of the deal pointed to the economic and environmental benefits, while opponents warned about hidden costs and broken promises. In the end, the debate didn't settle everything, but showed just how divided and high stakes this issue was. Everyone was left hoping that this big gamble would pay off and that the deal would really be a step forward for Canada. Chapter 6. Truth Revealed. Just when everyone thought the dust was settling, a new piece of information came to light that shocked everyone. Investigative journalists uncovered documents that hadn't been made public before. These documents showed that the government had agreed to cover some unexpected costs for Volkswagen, like cleanup for any environmental damage the factory might cause. This wasn't mentioned in the original deal announcement, and it raised a lot of eyebrows. The public felt blindsided. People wondered why these details were hidden and what else might be buried in the fine print. The critics felt vindicated, and the supporters started to have doubts. It seemed like the transparency that Trudeau had promised was still lacking. Opposition leaders jumped on this new revelation. Erin O'Toole demanded an explanation, calling it a betrayal of public trust. Environmental groups were outraged, saying this proved the deal was more about corporate interests than protecting the environment. Trudeau and his team scrambled to do damage control. They held a press conference to address the concerns. Trudeau insisted that these additional agreements were necessary to secure the deal and protect Canadian jobs. He emphasized that the environmental safeguards were still in place and that the government would hold Volkswagen accountable. But the damage was done. The trust that Trudeau had worked to rebuild was shaken again. People felt like they were back at square one, unsure of what to believe. The deal that once seemed like a bright future for Canada now looked more complicated and uncertain. In the end, the truth revealed a more tangled web than anyone had anticipated. The public was left with mixed feelings, questioning whether the Volkswagen deal was really the right move for Canada. The Volkswagen factory did open and brought new jobs and investments, just like they promised. But people kept a close eye on it to make sure the company followed through on environmental promises. The controversy made everyone more aware and determined to hold leaders accountable. What do you think about Trudeau's billion-dollar Volkswagen deal? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this.